Welcome to CEOs Solve the Darndest Things, a video and podcast series of interviews with CEOs, hosted by the partners of the Resolve firm.
Hello, and welcome to CEOs Solve the Darndest Things. I am Dr. Terry Dockery. I am the CEO and founder of the Resolve firm. Our guest today is Eric Hare, who is the CEO of the Global Canine Protection Group. And also Eric is a current member of our High Performance CEO Roundtable. Welcome, Eric.
Good afternoon, Terry. Thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Well, sure. And well, tell me a little bit to start off with. Tell me about your company, what you guys do, for whom and where.
Yes, Terry. So Global Canine Protection Group is currently a national company that services 95% of what we do is for the TSA. And what we do is it falls under the TSA air passenger cargo. So any cargo that goes on a passenger aircraft, it has to be 100% inspected. And under that, the canines are one of the technologies that allow that to happen, which is, we're efficient, we're fast, and a little bit less expensive as your traditional screening technologies. And we're in over 30 cities right now with over 75 clients in the air cargo industry.
So detecting bombs, security things that you guys have to pay attention to. I know you call the dogs four-legged technology, and I have heard you say that it is actually less expensive and more accurate than some of the X-ray and other methods of technology. So I assume it's a booming business with all the screening that needs to be done these days.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we call them the four-legged biosensor. So as part of our technology package, we try to, and then we just button on other technologies with video capture, those type of things, automated reporting, those things. But yet in 2006, the Department of Defense, the government did a study, and they found out that, through that study of $6 billion, that the canine was the most effective explosive detection tool on the market. And it hasn't changed since then. So, with the efficiency, the lower cost, and it's really not lower cost as a per hour, it's a lower cost by volume as what the canine can do in the same amount of time as a traditional X-ray or other technologies.
Great. All right. Well, so tell me, how did you become an entrepreneur? I know you're an equity owner in the company, and how did you wind up in this specific industry?
Well, when I retired out of the military after 25 years in 2013, I joined currently it was the largest canine company in the world. And I joined that company, and I was under the great mentorship of the chairman of the ITC Holdings Company, which, great entrepreneur in the US. And it just started coaching and learning from him. And as I moved from company to company under his wing, I started to gain a better business acumen, I guess you could say, the bridge from military to the civilian businessman. Got my MBA, my Black Belt Six Sigma, and then met my current business partner, Howard Porter, who is an entrepreneur for, I believe, over 30 years. And we started to build a strategic partnership and friendship, and now he's a mentor.
Right. Well, and my understanding is that so your military career spans some 25 years or so, and that's where you learned, got a lot of your leadership training and so forth.
Yeah, 25 years. Most of it was infantry. Spent over half of my career as an infantry officer. Last months and months deployed overseas, and what it did teach me that I could carry over not just discipline and leadership, but it taught me how to run a decentralized company. Because as in the military, we're decentralized in Afghanistan and a bunch of other locations.
Right, and I know we're going to talk a little more about that later. Well, how about tell me, as far as what you're doing now in your role as a business person, what parts of the job do you like most? What parts do you like least? I don't know anybody that likes everything they have to do as an entrepreneur.
No, well, early on, it was a matter of, like most CEOs that are entrepreneurs, it seems like you're doing everything, which means you're not doing anything right. So I started I was able to start to build through lessons learned and pain and suffering, we built the correct team. And I think once we built the correct team, it was able to offload things that probably weren't my strong suit. But it seemed as time went along, since we've been doing this business, it seemed like my strong suit was relationship building. And I don't want to say sales, I just say relationship building, because I don't give sales pitches, but through those relationships, we were able to gain a great foothold in business and continue those in long-lasting relationships.
Right. So, and so what parts of of your early role were you able to delegate that maybe you thought weren't your strong suit?
Well, so before it was I was in HR way more than I needed to be in HR, but now we have a VP of HR that came from large business in finance. Me and Howard were every day into the finances, and we were able to bring on a high-powered VP of finance, and then operations as a whole, the operations training division, and trying to manage over 30 locations with over 150 people while still trying to grow the business and do those other things. I was able to bring in a COO with as much or more operational experience than I had, way more business experience because he's an entrepreneur as well. So those things allowed me to actually be a CEO.
Great. Well, we usually talk about a couple of business challenges or conundrums that folks have faced on the way to where they are. And I know one of the things that I've found really interesting is that you guys had to do quite a dramatic strategic pivot in this age of Corona, where the cargo shipping went down, and that you went to some kind of heat sensing technology product. Can you just talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So like everyone else, I think every business pretty much was affected by the COVID-19. So, and being an air passenger business, 95% of what we were doing was air passenger, and then the rest of it was commercial. So the commercial shut down, air passenger dropped from over an average of 2.2 million passengers a day to 50,000. So where we were lucky was we only saw about a third loss in what we were doing in our volume for that. But in that third, it was an extreme drop in revenue, and it stopped any growth in that industry. So one day I was sitting camping, and a friend of mine called and had a thought that with the COVID and the temperature scanning and what the CDC and FDA and everybody was putting out for people to start to return back to work, and as an early sign that IR cameras that had the ability to read people's temperatures, and if they were elevated, that could be a sign to go further in the alarm in that resolution with the respiratory symptoms questionnaire. But it could possibly prevent anyone from contaminating other people in the workplace. So we got together, and we are using their IR system, IO systems with that capability, and I combined it with our global view technology, which we can monitor anywhere in the world with zero latency live. So we put these two things together and took it immediately to market within 10 days as a service to provide, we call it Safe Scan, but it's providing remote temperature screening at any facility. And within another 10 days, we started signing clients on. And now we've moved to live demos in hospitals and different cities. So I think it was a great bridge to fill a gap, but it's also providing a need to almost any business out there that wants to get their people back to work and do what they can to prevent further contamination or further spread of a pandemic.
Right. Well, and the other thing that we talked about was, and you mentioned earlier, was decentralized leadership of the organization. Since you're spread out so much, would you be willing to talk a little bit about what you've done there and what you found that works well?
Yeah, of course. So from what we talked about before, what I was able to actually we built the company, and was actually to build key players to make the company stronger and allow me to focus in other directions. That decentralization was probably the most difficult piece to deal with in a company especially as it was growing and as fast as it was growing. In 15 months, we went from Opelika, Alabama, one location, to over 30 locations with over 150 people under TSA's reign of regulation. So, and where that challenges were is, and I learned some of it in the past, but these challenges going so fast, and we learned along the way was TSA has different inspectors at every location, and every one of those inspectors you have to build a relationship with to have a good working relationship at that location. And then the HR issues with every state, every province, every city, every county having different rules for HR, whether it be health, labor, like California, the different labor requirements for mandatory breaks, lunches, these type of things, clocking in and out, drive times. And then Alabama that has, almost none of those things. So having a robust HR system that you catch those things or know what you're doing before you get hit with, a negative impact to the company. And then, two big things, which was trying to protect our brand and our clients' brand, is the leadership and training. So because of the canines need to be trained every day on the explosive odors, you had to make sure that in each one of these locations, you had dedicated trainers to continue to train your teams while they're there. And then the leaders who could lead 3,000 miles away from the head shed and do it, and you trust and they trust that they still have that support mechanism and they're making everyday decisions. So, a lot of those decisions had to be delegated down. In that process, it also developed basically an entire arching architect of our leadership, from site leads, and a site is each location, like LAX is a location, site leads to site trainers to region leadership that had we learned early on too that we had to have a cargo expert as a leader and a canine expert as a leader, because those two fields are completely opposite, but they have to work hand in hand in what we're doing, because both of them are regulated by a TSA, by different entities in a TSA, and you have different rules to follow for each one of them, but they have to overlap because the canine professional on the ground is doing cargo and canine. So, and it just continued to move its way up. And, we made sure we had canine professionals at the highest levels, just like cargo professionals running our security and compliance.
Oh, very good. Well, as we in our group and in general, I know we do a lot of strategic planning, and you look at trends and trying to anticipate what's coming down the business pike, so your business model doesn't become outmoded. And when you look to the future, what kind of trends are you paying attention to that you think might affect your business?
So we actually have two trends, and it's always, I learned early on from one of my mentors, is it's easier to fill a need than try to create a need. So what we're seeing now is with the air cargo, passenger air cargo is 15% of the market, and this is our main market. So, but then air cargo, there's another 85% out there from freighters. So, and this is out. So your larger companies like your UPSs and stuff are going to be required to also use canines to screen cargo, UPS, FedEx, and some of them do already, and smaller takes, but it'll grow. So what you're seeing also is former military, other people looking at, this is a great trade that pays well. So how do I learn to, as an explosive canine person, and then go to work? So one of the trends we found is we're starting in August. We're starting a VA certified training course where former veterans can come through, become explosive dog handlers, canine handlers, and then either come work with us or work with other companies that are doing things like we're doing, or go work in a commercial sense, because almost every business, I can't say every, but from your Googles to your eBays to concert venues to sporting events, they're all moving towards explosive canine detection. So all that is building an entire a large, unique opportunity here in the U.S., where before it was always overseas. So that's one of the big trends. And the other trend is just piggybacking off of that, is we see growth in our company in the same line of business we're doing in air cargo, but we don't want to just stay there. So we're also seeing in a lot of areas, like maybe hospitals and stuff, that this remote fever detection is going to be a long-term issue and long-term service.
Yeah, well, my understanding is there's going to be a new normal with this pandemic, and that in general, yeah, those sorts of things are going to become ever more important in terms of managing healthcare and having a safe workplace and all that, all those sorts of considerations. Well, any closing comments from you? Those were the things that I had intended to talk about today.
Yeah, no, I do want to mention that B, and I believe the other CEOs in the CEO Roundtable, it's a great venue to be able to, good, safe venue to be able to put out questions or concerns and get great direct feedback that I've already used to implement into our business to make it better.
Great. Well, because we always appreciate a plug, Eric. That sounds. We have a great time doing it, and I'll have to say we have a great group of folks. I've been in quite a few of these roundtables myself, and surely I'm not the best one to be objective, but I think we have the best group of people I've ever been associated with. So it's always a delight to get together with you guys. Well, I want to thank you for your time today, and of course, I wish you all the best in all your future endeavors, and I will look forward hopefully to seeing you soon.
Thank you, Terry. I appreciate the time.
All right, take care.